Hi, everybody. I'm Joey.
And I'm Joey.
And I'm Casey.
Folks, this is episode 286 of Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt. If you're new here, this is the podcast where we talk about gravel bikes, adventure biking, bike packing, bike camping, just playing bikes. And today we're going to talk about breaking bikes in foreign lands. Because joining us, Casey is here, and we're going to recap the very first GTD After Hours meetup. Casey, thank you for one, organizing the meetup, and for two, for joining us today to recap it. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. I've been listening from the beginning, so it's kind of surreal, right, sitting here with you. But thanks for having me.
Now, you're in your van. You're off in near State College at this point, which is home, right?
Yeah, so I've lived in a van for about 4 years now. Before that, Bellefonte was home, which is a town just north of State College.
Okay.
So, yeah, I still spend a good bit of time here. I'm at Bald Eagle State Park, which is a beautiful state park, big lake, lots of boating people here, some good riding. So, yeah.
Casey's living the dream, friend. Living the dream from state park to state park, from state to state. Do you like the whole van life thing, Casey? I mean, obviously, if you've been doing it 4 years, if you didn't like it, you wouldn't be doing it anymore. But...
Yeah, I mean, there's the pros and cons, right? Like the travel is awesome. Seeing all these places is awesome, but there's little things that are painful in the winter and painful in the heat of summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen any reason to stop doing it. My favorite part is it's just one of those places where I don't buy a lot of stuff because I don't have anywhere to put it.
It's a lot of money.
It saves money and just, the clutter.
So how does the Amazon man find you, though? That's
so I live at the UPS store in State College, as far as the government knows.
Okay, as far as the government is concerned, you're UPS resident. So, folks, if you don't know what GTD After Hours is, I want to introduce that first. GTD After Hours is our Discord server. It is the best and the only way at just $5 a month to support the podcast. We have just like a lot of really cool stuff that's happening there. And this is all the brainchild of you, Joey Sikorsky. I love that you came up with this wonderful idea or copied it from another podcast.
Copied it, and another podcast said they copied it from another one. So.
There's no such thing as an original idea.
It's borrowing other people's homework. When we
100%.
say at work, it's borrowing someone else's homework.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a way to support the podcast, the $5 a month is where that happens. The Discord server is sort of like an added Benny, which has been huge. It's really starting to blow. I think we're close to 40 folks in there now. Conversation is happening. We're doing giveaways. We're doing the Scratch and Denton free entry giveaway that's coming up at the end of August. I just secured the rights to do a giveaway for PA Gravel Fest, which is coming up at the end of or middle of September. I can't even remember. It's in September. And we're doing meetups like what we're going to talk about today. But there's also just like a lot of conversation about gear, about bikes, about parts, photos from people's tremendous adventures, and all of that. What's been your favorite part of it so far, Joey?
I have not. I was to say I honestly haven't been active as much as I should be.
You're a busy man.
No, I've actually, it was like this weekend. Like I didn't have a lot of phone time.
Yeah.
So I've actually been going away from the phone more. So I'm not on that as much, but it's been fun. It's kind of what I thought it would be in a good way. All the different channels, stuff on there. And like I said, I need just to be more active and chat with folks. But no, everything's broken down into categories. There's some good stuff. You get people like Casey, who's an awesome person in the community, stepping up and doing fun things and writing his reports. And it's just a good time.
Okay, Casey, you're OG GTD without any reservation or doubt. I think the first time we actually met was the very first unpaved, wasn't it?
We didn't make the first unpaved.
Yeah, I think you weren't at the first unpaved, but the first unpaved you made it to. Yeah, we met there.
Yes.
Wes was
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a name we haven't heard in a while.
Who's Wes? I should have said I'm Wes. Hi, everybody. I'm Wes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's been one we've gone back to over and over again. Some things that are coming up, Grusk, Grinduro, and then, of course, Pennsylvania Gravel Fest. Before we talk about the meetup, Casey, I have a question for you. As someone who has been listening since the very beginning, what's the biggest difference between the early days of the podcast and where we are now with our vibe and with the after-hours community efforts?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably, I mean this in a good way, probably less has changed than you think. I think from like the first episode, the vibe I got as somebody listening was I was kind of watching some friends in a bike shop talk bikes, and you kind of wanted to be there and be part of it. And that's still the vibe I get now. And you know, now we kind of can be with After Hours in Discord. I will say though, one of my favorite early episodes that you did was, I think you did something on the New River Trail, like the best way to do the New River Trail. And a few years later, I remember looking to try to find that episode because I was going to be down in the New River area. And I realized looking back, I'm like, oh, this is going to be called like toilet paper finger breach or unicorn farts or something crazy. You had those crazy names in the early days.
It's true.
So maybe that's like it was fun, but maybe a nice practical change that we can now go back and find the stuff we're looking for. So
you could blame me for all of that. I would, because in the early days, I used to sit and listen to each episode during the editing process, and I would find something funny that either Wes or Joey, one of the two of you, typically said something.
Oh yeah,
and that became the episode title. And now you're correct; it is a little more practical, so probably a little bit easier to find.
Yeah.
It's
been cool to watch you. It's been cool to watch you two. You know, I feel like you are different. You know, you have a different approach to bikes. Joey being in the bike shop, it's cool to hear that perspective. But the youth stuff is neat to hear as well. And Joey's got me excited to check out Rocky Gap in Western Maryland. I have this Purple Lizard map I've been sitting on for a few years that you know, I've always wanted to get down there. So it's just neat. You all have, you approach what you're doing on bikes differently over the years. But in general, like I said, that vibe has stayed the same. These are just friends that are talking bikes, and it's cool to be a part of it.
I will say Rocky Gap's campground facilities are very nice.
Yeah,
shower houses, everything. I mean, there's hundreds of spots there. I mean, the lake is just such a gorgeous place. And it's like a 10th of a mile from Pennsylvania, technically, or something.
So one thing we may have lightly touched on this, but now that that Casey's thinking about someplace he'd like to go, and unless you're going to full send that old city through some mountain bike trails, what else is there for like gravel, right? Is there anything in the Rocky Gap area that's less mountain bike centric and more?
I haven't looked at gravel or anything.
Okay.
Although the new trails there, the new trails that Zach Adams built, you could definitely ride on your all city. It's very well groomed. It's not rooty, and the rocks are moved.
I don't know if the Purple Lizard map quite covers Rocky Gap. They call it like Deep Creek, Savage River.
Oh yeah,
okay. I've looked at the map, and there's a lot of gravel on it. I just haven't been able to get down there and explore yet. And it's so close to where I spend most of my time. So I do want to get down there.
Deep Creek's just next level too. I love Deep Creek.
Yeah. That's an area I've just never really explored.
Well, you're going out there with us this year?
Yes, I am. 100%.
We're going to get a big old lodge and ride our bikes.
Yeah. I'm excited to actually explore that. And I do hear birds. Where are the birds?
I like it.
I like it too. I love it. They may be
I think
here.
it is. I've got some bird. Yeah, that's a bird singing. And then I've got another one sitting on my mirror here, looking at itself, pecking itself in the mirror.
I'm now the millennial that I like birds. Yeah. I do think there's still drones, but
you feed the drones. The drones need to be fed, just like
I go through so much bird food every week.
Do you really?
And I enjoy sitting on my deck looking at them. And I've always liked birds. The bluebirds got a nest out back, and the babies are out, and you just sit on the patio and watch them, or you hear them, and then the mama bluebirds just dive bombing the squirrels. It's cool. Yeah.
What's been your most unusual bird yet to show up at the feeder?
Oh my gosh, I got a house sparrow on top of these. They cut the tulip poplars, whatever these are called. Crepe myrtles. I don't know what they are.
Those are crepe myrtles.
This sucker was like the defied physics of it being able to fly. Like,
absolute
it is
sparrow unit.
Like, it's probably the one eating all my bird seed. This thing should not have left the ground and flown. I don't bird shame or body shame birds. It was a fat bird.
I saw a meme somewhere about this. So my girlfriend's really into bird feeders and birds, and this meme said, you spend most of your life not giving a hoot about birds, and then one day you wake up and you're like, that's a red-breasted nuthatch, and that means you're old.
It's like magically one day.
Yeah.
It's like you suddenly know what all the birds are.
It's the millennial thing.
What's the
elder
bird?
millennials?
Not the Audubon, the Peterson Field Guide to Birds. There's two. There's Audubon has one, and that's sort of like the actual like photos of birds. And then Peterson, I believe, is one that's artist renderings. I think I'd have to.
Oh, I don't know. I was embarrassed to say the other day, me and Jess were walking through the woods, and I took a lot of environmental science, and I took a lot of science. I know way too much about birds and trees than I should know through high school and college, and yeah, it was a little ridiculous.
Okay, let's do what we're here to do, and talk about how Brian broke his bike. What was Casey?
I thought this was a Casey episode, not a
well,
Brian
it
episode.
is, but he's going to explain to us how Brian broke his bike. What was the idea? Let's start all the way back at the beginning. The idea behind the meetup and the location. Where did that come from? Because this is all you, Casey. This is all you, like fully running full bore with After Hours. Where did it all come from?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd go back, and I just would throw some gratitude back at you all for what you've been doing for these years on the podcast. And, you know, I really think you guys are, you know, the glue that holds this Mid-Atlantic magic together. Maybe you don't even realize that, but I think, you know, for me personally, I started riding bikes because of Unpaved, because it was advertised, and I said, this looks like a cool adventure. And, you know, so I'm always grateful to people like Dave and the other event directors who put stuff on like that and inspire us to get out there. The first year I went to Unpaved, I had an amazing ride. I felt like I was also looking at this amazing community, but kind of from the outside. I didn't know how to talk bikes and what the events were and who the players were in the community. And I think it was just 3-4 months after Unpaved is when your podcast started. And then I kind of learned, you know, how do friends talk bikes? Like I just said, in terms of the vibe. And I felt like then all of a sudden I was sitting at the bar at the next event and was able to join in. You know, even then after becoming an experienced cyclist, you know, what you all do just makes that community richer. I don't know, or I didn't know Pat Engelman, but I felt like I did from him being on your podcast. And I was at Public Lands Ride one year and rode up next to him, and we don't know each other, but you know, we had a rode together for 10 miles and had a nice conversation, and it was, you know, your podcast was the spark. So I guess, yeah, just wanted to throw that gratitude at you. I've always wanted to support it however I could, and when you switched over to After Hours being the way of doing that, at first I said, yeah, I'm just on board because I want to support it. And then when I saw how that was set up and these different channels and the way you're going to have conversations, I thought, you know, this, like, the support can go a little further here. Because I feel like After Hours, you're handing the keys to us a little in terms of all these community benefits. And it's kind of up to us to make what we want of it. And I just love in-person connections. And I also felt like, you know, I travel up, down, and around the Mid-Atlantic. So maybe I'm in a unique position to offer these meetups because, yeah, I mean, if you ride bikes in the Mid-Atlantic, there's a chance I'm going to be nearby one day. So it just seemed like something that I might be able to offer. So that's the genesis of the meetup at all. Warm Springs as an area, that it's been a ritual for me for 3 or 4 years now to go spend time in Warm Springs in the spring.
It's beautiful.
It is, yeah. And I first saw it, I think, 15 years ago. I was going to visit a friend in Asheville, North Carolina, coming from State College, Pennsylvania. I just wanted to find a road that was different than 81 to get down there.
100%.
And when you're coming south out of Pennsylvania on 220, you go through Cumberland, Maryland, and Kaiser, West Virginia, and then you just get deeper and deeper into the middle of nowhere. You're in this farmland, you're in the Jefferson National Forest, until you get to Hot Springs, that town, and you come over this rise, and there's this massive old Grand Hotel laid out in front of you.
I never knew that was even there. I'd never even heard of it.
I know. Yeah, I had never heard of it. I mean, yeah, knew nothing about it. And so, yeah, when you're in the woods for 4 hours and you pop out, and now you've seen that, Brian, it's like, what the heck is this? And way back then, like I said, that was 15 years ago. I didn't ride bikes, but it was just this thing that was burned into my memory as I need to get back down to that area because there's something cool there. And I love old stuff. So that, and I've been to like at least 5 different towns that claim to be the oldest resort town in America. Hot Springs is one of them. but I think verifiably, Brian, that they do have the oldest resort structure in America, and you were in it. That was the gentleman's bathhouse.
Yeah. In the gentleman's
anyway,
bath.
like 15 years go by, and it's 2022 now. I do ride bikes, and I had said to my girlfriend, "Let's go down to Hot Springs," and she said, okay. And we go down and it was still COVID-y time. So we were able to get a room in that resort for reasonably cheap. And then we slept in the van in the parking lot for an extra night. That was super cheap.
Nice.
But I started looking around at it as a biking area. And then I started coming back and just trying to explore the different roads on bike. So yeah, it's just a really cool place. And I think undiscovered, I think maybe that might be a theme of what I want to do with the meetups is like, what are some pieces of the mid-Atlantic that aren't touched by the events? We have all kinds of awesome events and bikepacking routes. And in this case, if you go one ridge to the east or to the west, you're in some territory that's well covered by those kinds of things. But this particular valley, there's, I don't know, 10 to 20 people on the different Strava segments that do exist. Yeah. So I felt that was cool. And then, of course, the water. I mean, I've gone up and down the East Coast, and as far as I know, this is the only place where you can really go sit in natural hot spring water at the temperature it comes out of the earth, where it comes out of the earth. There are other, like Berkeley Springs, it plumbs it into a bathhouse and they heat it up a little more.
I went by there last month.
Oh, did you? Nice. Have you been there? Have you ever done like the bathhouse stuff there?
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I know we talked about it in March together, and then we drove past it because I was in Berkeley Springs for a long weekend. In early April. It was just I was too tired. Although it probably would have been great to actually go into and sit down. But hearing some of your stories, Casey, I don't want to be in there.
Yeah.
This is different. This is different.
I seek that kind of stuff out, but this place is really unique. So it just felt like there were a lot of different ingredients that could come together to make a cool weekend and invite other people to share this place that I think is pretty awesome.
So let's actually recap this weekend. We're going to talk a lot about the warm springs. We're going to talk about the gentleman's bathhouse towards the end of the weekend adventure. So let's start with the campground choices, because I was amazed by the numbers of them little tucked away. I think we passed like 3 or 4, like little tucked away campgrounds.
Yeah. So we're the heart of this weekend is in the Washington Jefferson National Forest. And for the years that I've been going down there, my home base has usually been Hidden Valley Campground, which is only, I'd say, 5 to 8 miles from the town of Warm Springs. And that's actually originally where I thought we would do this. And it's a nice campground. I think it, depending on the year and who the host is, it's been in really great condition and not so great condition at different times. But overall, it's a good spot to stay. What happened this year is I ended up getting there a week early. It was just my travel got me in sooner than I expected. And I wanted to be able to work from the campground I was staying at. And I work from Starlink, and trees are a problem for Starlink. So I just looked at Google Earth and thought, what might be a wider open campground. And that's how I stumbled on that Bath County public, what's it called? Bath County
Campground. Pump station campground.
Yeah.
It's the most non-original name you're ever going to want to come across.
I don't think the locals want people finding it. I think they want it to sound like nothing you want to check out, because
utilitarian.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a neat spot. It's kind of a hidden gem.
And then, I think I'd stayed there before. I had stayed at Bath County before with ACA. So as soon as you said what it was, I immediately remembered that campground and how special it is. It's a super cool place.
Yeah. $10 a night, hot showers, lakeside,
clean,
views for miles. Very clean. Yeah.
Very clean.
So that had some pros, but I mean, it did mean that the ride that we had planned, we had to get in a car and drive over. Otherwise, it would have turned into like 100-mile day. It's funny when you look at maps down there, it's like, oh, it's just one ridge over. Well, that can be that can be a long way. So yeah, I think if I were going back to do that ride again, I'd probably base it on the weather. Like if it's warm enough to the Hidden Valley campground, the Jackson River runs right through it, which, Joey, I
Mhm.
think the locals tell me that's like world-class fly fishing. I don't do that, but I
Everywhere I
hear
went,
yeah,
everywhere we went, there were people fly fishing
yeah.
all over the
But you
place.
can rinse off in there after a big ride if it's warm enough. If it was cold like it was this weekend, I might still go back to Bath County for those
Yeah,
showers.
yeah.
And then, there's several other campgrounds. I think we drove by something called Rolling Spring or Blowing Spring,
Something
another national forest site. Yeah.
they're small. They're little tucked away, like in the woods kind of things. And I can see
Yeah.
where, like from a Starlink perspective, that would be problematic. But
Yeah.
that Bath County campground was just wide open, right over the pump station lake. Beautiful. And the moonrise. Remember the moonrise? I sent you a picture
Oh,
of
yeah.
it. Joey. The moonrise over the ridge the first night we were there was ridiculous. It looked like the sun was coming up. Crazy.
Yeah.
So you were there for like a full week prior to Bill and I arriving, and you did some riding before Bill and I got there, correct?
Yeah, I did one ride. It rained a good portion of the week, but I saw that on the forecast. So I think it was Monday, I took the afternoon off of work just to get a ride in. And in that ride, I mean, it's a great route too. And I threw this up on the Discord if anybody wants to follow it, but it's directly from that campground. You go down the river valley there, the opposite direction of what you and I did later, Brian.
Okay.
Down the river valley, you hit 39 and you ride that up to the ridge top, that ridge top is the West Virginia border.
Okay.
Really nice gravel road on that ridge top that kind of just winds in and out of West Virginia. It's mostly up, but you get a couple breaks, like some pretty fun downhills on that road. I had spent the previous 6 weeks in South Carolina riding in the lowlands, and I thought, oh, this is 45 miles. I don't need any food because I had been riding with no hills for so long. So I bonked pretty hard. It's like almost an 18-mile continuous climb. There's a few little breaks where you go down.
Wow.
So yeah, but awesome road up there, and then you kind of come back down. I think it's 84. Don't quote me on that, but the route's up in Discord. Like I said, you come down and you come into the campground from the top side. So that was a nice, like I said, 45-miler that I did before you all got there.
And then, so there was only 3 of us for this first meetup, which means like 37 other people missed out because it was ridiculous cool. It was Bill and myself and you and Bill and I. When did Bill come in? Bill was already there when I arrived.
Yeah, so Bill came in late Thursday night. I think he
Okay.
worked Thursday in Pittsburgh, and it was funny because I was waiting up for him, and I'm sitting there in my van, and I can see the road to the north where I knew he'd be coming. And from the time it got dark until like 11 p.m., there was not a single car that came down that road. This place is so remote. And then I saw headlights around 11, and I thought, well, it has to be Bill. And sure enough, it was. But yeah, he got there the night before, and then we both worked.
Yeah,
From
the digital nomads.
Yeah,
Digital nomads. It's such a cool life. I just really think it's super awesome. And Starlink really makes it possible, right? This is actually a commercial for Starlink, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's awesome. You do have to be careful with the trees, especially if you do a lot of Zoom calls or meetings.
We use Starlink, and Deep Creek's always our issue.
Yeah.
It's fine. You got a random chair out in the middle of the parking lot where there's like just it's like, please don't step on the cord.
Now, I know when we were at RB Winter, Larry had his Starlink, and he showed me the app where it sees the satellites, and it is just so cool. The whole concept of satellite internet is just.
Did he get it to work in RB Winter? Because I've tried that. I've never really.
It was spotty, but we would get enough, like you were saying, for like something you need a continuous connection with, for gaming or for Zoom calls or something like that, the lag would be horrific. But for just sending random texts and for, checking Facebook or sending messages or whatever the case may be, just having your phone connected, it actually worked okay. It worked.
Okay.
It worked all right. It worked pretty good. And it was actually at RB Winter, just like we were at Bath County, you're out. There's nothing. So it was nice to have a little. It was almost the perfect balance because you don't ever want to be like completely and totally dead in the water, because it's really hard to stay in touch when there's important things that might happen. But at the same time, it wasn't like you weren't continually looking at your phone, because there'd be times it was just like, it's not working right now. So it was kind of cool.
Right.
Actually kind of cool.
Brian kept saying, as we went to bed, he said, "When are you shutting the internet off, Dad?"
Yeah, because you do it, I do it. We get in the tent, and you want to just scroll a little bit. I try not to doom scroll, but there's just that half hour before you go to bed where you're just kind of like seeing what's going on in the world, and it helps put me to sleep.
Yeah,
I've been reading lately instead of scrolling.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Smart. I do that too. I got the Kindle, and I will read sometimes, but it's not all the times. It's like a little bit of one, a little bit of the other. I'm actually into audiobook right now, so I'm not listening to that, and I'm not reading anything on my Kindle, so it's a little different. So that Friday night, when you guys had finished work and I had arrived, we went for a little, well, actually ended up to be the biggest ride of the weekend. The pre-ride that was the short ride ended up to be the biggest ride of the weekend. But what a beautiful route. There was no gravel on it, but honestly, we were talking about this as we were riding along, Casey. It's almost like gravel is more of a word that says fewer cars than it's necessarily about surface. I mean, for me, yeah.
I agree. I mean, I like the crunch of gravel, but mostly I'm out there for, just the quiet. There was, though, if you remember, Brian, we did do that gravel road along the Wounded Warrior fishing stream there.
Yes.
And then got stuck and had to ride across the field.
We've learned you don't cross the lines when Dominion says no trespassing.
Right.
We didn't learn that the hard way, but we learned that it was better to go through the field than it probably would have been to get caught on camera at the energy producing station that Dominion runs. So we did a little field run. But yeah, that little gravel road was a lot of fun, right by the water. Saw some people fishing, I think. I'm not sure. So then we had to hump through a field, which was interesting, but we got through just fine. Then we hit that hard top and did a lot of climbing, and then the descent. Now, my favorite part of this whole ride, because I've been looking back at the video, because I was running the video and I've been like filtering through it to pick like bits and parts and pieces to put something together. And after we did the climb on the road going out, and then we made that hard right turn. And that was where we thought there might have been some gravel, but it looked like it was very, very fresh tarmac. And then we did that climb. But that descent, as I'm looking at the video, that was a lot longer descent than I really remember. Those things happen so fast, but wow.
Yeah, it's funny when you're riding in those long valleys and you're looking at these huge mountains, you feel like, well, if I'm not going over that mountain, I'm not going to climb too much. But there is plenty of climbing without going over the mountain.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was fun going down. I had that chicken jump out right in front of me, played chicken with a chicken on the road. We saw a fox. I don't know, Brian, did you see the fox? Me and Bill definitely saw the fox.
I think I heard you guys holler about it, but I may have looked up before I had the chance. They don't stick around for very long.
No.
So I'm not sure. I think I probably missed that. But I remember from in front of me, because I think I was trying to get my phone out to take some pictures on the very first part of that descent, and you guys had already started down, so there was a little bit of a gap and a separation, and I think that's when that happened. But yeah, I mean, absolutely gorgeous. It got a little cold too. The whole weekend was a little chilly up there in the mountains.
For sure. And the wind.
It was crazy wind. So we fought wind, we fought hills, but it was sunny. We didn't have the rain. I know that we were talking about getting some rain early, but it just never materialized, which is great. Is that
I think we even I had changed the plans a couple times because it looked like we were going to have rain on Saturday morning, but it turned out, Saturday was riding wise, weather wise, was perfect.
Yeah. And so Saturday comes, and it's ride day. It's time for the big ride, and the plan was about a 70-mile loop down into Covington, where Casey had a line on a hot dog stand, Joey. And I'm so disappointed.
Did you ruin that for everyone?
I ruined it for everyone, but that's okay. No, actually, I didn't ruin it. A stick ruined it. But so, as Casey mentioned earlier, the route he had put together went from Hidden Valley, and we really didn't want to break that route. Because like Casey said, we would have climbed up and over a ridge to get down into Hidden Valley, and it would have added not only 30 extra miles, but it would have probably added about 6 hours. I feel like at 5 miles an hour
climbing over that ridge. Yeah,
you were up and then down. So we actually loaded up Bill's Jeep, drove over to Hidden Valley. Tell us a little bit about Hidden Valley, because I know, Casey, we were talking about it's got some stuff going on there with the house and movies and fishing and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, so there's an old mansion there called Warwickton, and I know they filmed a movie there. I forgot to look up the name, but it's Richard Gere comes back, and this woman's husband goes off to fight in the Civil War, and some other guy comes back pretending to be her husband, and that's the movie. It's like a nice flick, but I watched it because I've been spending so much time down there. It's decent, but Warwickton's the name of the mansion. It's kind of a neat old southern plantation or estate. I'm not sure. It's a B&B now.
Big brick building with beautiful columns, and the name of the movie was Summersby.
That's it. Yeah.
1993. Richard Gere.
Yeah.
So
it's actually
Jodie Foster.
And Jodie Foster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's owned by it's part of the National Forest, but there's some unique arrangement where it's then rented out as an Airbnb.
That's pretty cool.
There's some really good gravel riding right out, aside from this big route, like right past that house. There's a really neat gravel road that goes up over to an area called the Poor Farm, which is a kind of a boondocking camping area. The Jackson River runs right through that. I tried to ride this trail that on the map looks like it skirts the edge of the Jackson River, but it turned into a nightmare, and I had to ford the Jackson River 3 or 4 times. That was a few years ago. But yeah, the campground is there. And like I said, for those I think Joey fly fishes, right? There's always fly fishermen up and down the Jackson River. So if you're into that, Hidden Valley is a really nice base camp as a campground, and there's some other stuff to explore there.
Yeah, I got the vibe that there's a lot of things right at your fingertips right there at Hidden Valley. Now, so we took off. We kind of looped through the campground. We looped around the mansion just to get eyeballs on it, and then it was pretty much all downhill. No, it was all uphill from there. It was legit. It was legit climbing right out of the gate, and it went on for. I remember I kept looking down at my Garmin, and it was like, you're an hour and a half in, and you've gone 8 miles. It's like,
yeah,
what is this? What have I gotten myself into? But the little town of the actual little town of Warm Springs, sort of this, I don't want to call it more like it's like an intersection. It's like a wide area in the road because you actually turn off the main road and there you are. Neat little town with the grist mill. And I guess is that the Jackson River that flows through Warm Springs? No, it's not. It can't be.
No, that wouldn't be the Jackson. I'm not sure it might just be called Warm Springs Creek, but don't quote me on that.
I think it had to have been the outflow from the actual springs.
I would think, I do know like 100 yards down from the actual springs, there's another cold stream that flows into it.
Okay.
Because otherwise it'd be awesome if you could sit in that creek anywhere down along the length of it, but it cools off a few hundred yards below the spring.
You put some notes in here, Casey, that it is long, but it's very approachable climbing. It's not Lulaka's 18%, although we did have a couple of places where it tipped up, but it didn't tip up for very long. And then it was like a nice 6-8%. I think I saw quite a bit of 10, but it just never felt like it was going to crush you or you were going to have to start weaving or bobbing. So I like that word you said. It's very approachable. Very approachable.
Yeah. I felt like we were all pretty comfortable. I mean, we took our time and that's the idea. Enjoy it. But I felt like it wasn't, it didn't crush us.
Yeah, no, not at all. I felt really good about my climbing, Joey. We don't get to do it. But I felt really good. It was just like settle in, like put your head down, keep your head up, keep moving, changing potty positions, and keep yourself comfortable and just spin the wheels. And it worked for me. It worked for me quite a bit. So we climb up to this overlook. And I remember, Casey, you saying if somebody else were to get to the top of that climb before you, to not start bombing that descent. Now I know why, because the right turn to the gravel was literally at the tip of the hill, and if you'd have bombed it, you just had to climb back up it, which would have really sucked. But there's this beautiful overlook, and I can't remember the name of it at this point.
Dan Ingalls.
Dan Ingalls Overlook. And absolutely gorgeous, big, stone patio kind of area. that we were able to kind of like recoup at for a little bit. And it was the top of that climb. And I think we were at that point probably about mile 9.5 or 10, if I remember correctly.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next part, explain this Ridge Road or Homestead Skyline Drive. Tell us first, because Joey, we tip and we turn right and we go up this gravel road that's gated off by the Nature Conservancy. But Casey, you discovered this. How did you find this road and what's it all about?
Yeah, so I had been riding down there for a few years and never went out there. I think I noticed it, but saw the gate, and from the highway, it kind of looks like it might be private land. Like that gate's far enough up the road that it just feels like I'm not supposed to go up there. But one time I went into the Historical Society in Warm Springs. It's a little building just up from the grist mill there where we stopped, and they were selling these old books. So it's a book written in the 1940s by, I think it's Dan Ingalls, the guy that overlook is named after. If it's not him, it's one of the Ingalls family. And the Ingalls family owned the Homestead Resort that's now an Omni property. But so it was written in the 1940s, but it was a history of the valley. And it's a really cool book, and it talks about the mountain people that used to wander down out of nowhere and work at the resort. And it was, a neat history. But part of it was, and again, it was written in the 40s, but it was talking about when they built Homestead Skyline Drive, and it was as an attraction for the resort guests when cars were still a novelty. And there were trains that ran to that resort back in the day, so they'd get there on a train. But then one of the things you could do as an activity is get in an old Ford Model T or whatever old cars they have, and they take you up to this ridge road. And I think, Brian, you saw pieces of what were probably once maintained vistas that have grown in a little, but you can still see.
Yeah.
And then what you didn't see are some of the best vistas I've ever seen in the Appalachian Mountains, a little further out the road. But yeah, just really cool. So when I read it in the book about this road, I just looked on a map and said, is that still there? And it looked to be. And that was enough for me to ride up to the gate and see what is this thing. And when I saw Nature Conservancy, bikes welcome, I thought, great. But that's one, again, where I think I checked Strava again this year. I think 20 have been on that road on Strava anyway. It's just, and it's incredible. So.
God, it's incredible. Do you think that any Model Ts ever had sticks blow up like the engine, like the little? Because we did.
There may be one like laying over the side of that hill somewhere. We'll have to look.
Yeah, that was actually just a beautiful, beautiful road. And then once you sort of crest the top, you're kind of like it's flowy rolling. There's you got good cell coverage because there's a cell tower right there at the top of the climb. And you're just bouncing along, and then suddenly, our day, I think it was about mile 12, I think, came to a screeching halt. I want to hear your take, Casey, on how that all played out, because I experienced it firsthand.
I think I cursed it when I mentioned the hot dogs, because I think as soon as we were talking hot dogs, that's when this all started. But no, we were just riding side by side, and I heard you yell something. I couldn't tell what it was, and then I heard like a crack, and then it just sounded worse and worse from there.
And I watched it. I actually had the camera running when all of this went down.
Oh, did you? Okay.
It happens so fast. It's like I yell stick, and this is what happened. We were side by side on some double track, and there wasn't a lot of crossover. There wasn't a lot of maneuverability, and it's a very rocky road. There's lots of like chunk rocks like sticking up out of it. So it's heavy. It's heavy gravel. And I remember seeing a stick that was laying across the entire track. So I really didn't have anywhere to go. And then because normally I would have just picked the front wheel up. And if I'd have picked the front wheel up, all would have been fine. It was just natural instinct. But there were these two ginormous rocks right on the others, which is probably why the stick ended up there. These ginormous rocks that were right, like pointy and kind of, they were sitting on the other side of that rock. So when I saw the rocks, I didn't trust my instincts. I didn't pick up the front end. And then from Bill's description behind me, he said, I rolled over the stick It literally stood straight. It broke it in half. It literally stood straight up in the air and just got sucked right up into the derailleur. And it was just like all this crunching and cracking. So I'm very lucky, I think, that I stopped as quickly as I did, because it literally all happens within a second or two. I slam on the brakes, and then I posted a picture on Discord of the derailleur. The pulley wheels, the entire pulley wheel system was inside the wheel. It was inside the spokes, and the rest of the derailleur was outside, and it had all stopped right, literally, at the seat stay at the back of the rear triangle. So I think if I'd have let that bike roll one more inch, it would have just like chewed through spokes. It was just,
say your wheels aren't all messed up?
No, we checked all the spokes. I checked them all like twice, and I broke the chain, because at first we were thinking, well, maybe I could like convert it to a single speed, because the Otso we know performs very well single speed. It's like, I don't perform well when the Otso single speed, but the Otso can perform single speed. We learned that in Florida a couple of years ago. So my first thought was, we'll break the chain. I'll size it up. I'll unplug the derailleur. We'll find a sweet spot or whatever we could do. I don't know. I know it gets all wonky. Adjust the high-low like we did. Yeah, I learned that from you. Adjust the high-low to kind of try to figure out a place to get the derailleur into a spot where you can find a gear that works. And then when I broke the chain, I looked at it, and literally the chain had like twisted. It was like a tornado. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. It was literally just like,
it happens a lot.
Almost 90 degrees twisted. And I was like, well, that ain't gonna work. So we went to a Strider conversion is where we ended up. And it actually worked pretty well. Now, here's the ultimate question. And Casey, I've already asked this question of you, and I have not asked this question of you, Joey. At the point in time that this massive derailleur event occurs, and now we have determined that we are going to reverse course. I'm going to walk the ridge, and then we hit the gravel down, and then hit the road down all the way down to Warm Springs, which literally we climbed for like almost 2 hours. It took me 20 minutes to roll down to it, if even that. Should I have stopped my Strava at the top of the hill, or do I get the hike-a-bike plus the rolling down the hill credit for the miles?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you agree. You agree. Casey and Bill both agreed.
I thought you get double. Strider style should be double.
I ended up just for most, because we thought that I could be able to, on those rollers, once we got back up that pitch we were on, because we had already started sort of down the hill. I thought maybe once we got back up that pitch, I'd be able to kind of like roll the roller, so to speak. But in a Strider conversion, and as rocky as that terrain was, I really missed the ability to, because you have to do some micro positioning even when you're going downhill. And I would just start back up another little tiny grade, but there would be so much rock that it was like I couldn't push myself around it. So I ended up having to walk probably maybe a mile. I'm not sure. It seemed like a longer than it was. And then once I hit that gravel on the down, I was able to just go, went back to that overlook, the Ingalls overlook, had to walk back up over that hill again. By that time, that overlook had started to fill up with tourists, and I got some very, very strange looks, like, why is this man walking his bicycle and looking so dejected? And doesn't that bicycle look a little strange? What's that all about? Because it does look weird. It looked weird because I took the derailleur off. I took the chain off. They both went in my bag. Thank God for extra room in a bag, Joey. Bags are so important in the world of gravel, not only for carrying food and tools and extra bonus stuff, but broken junk. You got to be able to carry your broken junk, because we break things all the time. You got to carry your broken junk. So all of that was in the bag, and I did roll down that hill to the actual I waited outside the Gentleman's Bathhouse. I felt very...
There's a restaurant across the street I texted you about.
Yeah. That was the inn that Casey had stayed at.
Yeah.
I felt very bougie at the Gentleman's Warehouse, the Gentleman's Bathhouse. I was at the Gentleman's Bathhouse, all dirty and broke. I'm like sitting like a dejected little hobo in the corner in the parking lot. You guys pulled up. But I'm going to say this. Thanks to your help, Joey, and actually having internet at Warm Springs, by the time I left Warm Springs, I had all my parts ordered to hopefully replace the bike, except for one thing I'm concerned with, Joey. Maybe you can answer this question for me. The Di2 cable was very taut, and have you ever seen
Is it
one of
broken?
those? Well, it didn't look like it,
Well,
but
then you're good to go.
I think it could have actually.
You'll find out.
You'll find out. Yeah, I'll find out. But have you ever seen that where the cable gets stretched? It doesn't break,
A little bit.
but it. I know with wiring, if you stretch it out, sometimes it'll get a little.
We'll find
wonky.
out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I was at lunch. I wasn't on my phone much, and then Brian's blowing up my phone. He's like, "Check this, check this." Before I buy, check this. I'm like, and I check my phone hours later. I'm like, dude, it's freaking Saturday afternoon. like your order isn't going to ship until Monday anyway. That's what I wanted to tell him. I'm like,
no, it didn't. It didn't. It shipped at 2 a.m. Sunday morning.
Oh well.
2 a.m.
Well, I didn't confirm. I just told him he ordered everything wrong. I'm like, I was having dinner with my spouse and doing nothing when I got home.
See, doing nothing when he got home, but
I think Saturday and Sunday I spent the whole afternoons on my patio reading and just chilling.
Yeah,
it was too nice outside up here.
Yeah, but it was cold where we were.
I will backtrack. Uncle Pat did this at Grinduro, PA, the first year where he, and this was in the COVID crisis, when he couldn't get Eagle chains, he did something similar, and he stridered a ton of the Grinduro route to get back. Yeah. And he wouldn't break the chain to convert it because you couldn't get those chains at the time.
Well, yeah, actually, I can understand that.
And the Billy Goat he did a lot of the course.
I can understand. I remember the chain dilemma back during the days of COVID.
Because once you broke that, structurally wouldn't have been as stable to put multiple links all over. Mm-hmm. So he did a similar thing and strided around the Grinduro course.
Well, I was going to break it, baby. It was getting ready to get
well, now they're available, yeah, but
I had the chain break out. I was getting ready to go in there. And one thing that kind of failed me was the little wolf tooth plier. That I've carried it for so long.
How did it fail you?
It failed in that it had gotten to where the pliers have the quick link inside of it.
Yeah.
The magnets came out. When I opened it, all of the quick links fell out into the dirt. They were gone. It did break the chain. It did.
Did you just pick them out of the dirt?
I couldn't find them. They were gone. It was legit.
What were you doing?
It was legit. Like, Casey, explain to the man. It was like
it's a pretty rugged road.
That's a pretty rugged road.
No, I would have been on my hands and knees.
And now there's stick parts everywhere. It's like
now you just take a little bit of Gorilla Tape and you close it up, and now you got Gorilla Tape in your flat kit.
That seems like it's kind of like defeats the purpose of having the little magnet things. But I get it because the Gorilla Tape comes in handy. One thing that did come in handy, which I needed and would have been problematic, I probably wouldn't have been able to roll those hills if I hadn't had a zip tie. Because when I pulled that derailleur off, now I have this dangly DI cable that's got about this much wire hanging at it, and it would have just gotten sucked up into the wheel and ripped off. But I was able to pull it back and zip tie it. So Gorilla Tape would have fixed that, but a zip tie did it very, very, very quickly. So now the rescue mission commences. Casey and Bill decide to abandon me. And Joey, this was your take. It was like what happens in the Warm Springs stays in Warm Springs. It was like Casey wrecked my bike, abandoned me at the top of the ridge to see if I could survive.
That's what I text Brian.
but Bill and Casey to the rescue. How long did it take you guys to actually get all the way down to Hidden Valley and back to the Jeep?
I feel like it felt like 5 minutes. I mean, I'm sure it was more like 25. But I mean, that was the gift, right? That you gave us, Brian. We knew we had to climb that hill. We did not think we were going to get to go down it.
Yeah.
And we had a blast because between the start and where you were, aside from that little ridge top, there was only one uphill grade and it was short. So we were just, we bombed back down to the Jeep. And like I said, that turned out to be fun that we weren't expecting for the day.
You're welcome. I'm sitting in that parking lot ordering parts going, damn, this is an expensive weekend. But no, I wasn't sitting at the Warm Springs parking lot for probably 20 minutes before you guys rolled up. It was fast. It was, and we talked about it. If it had been on the other side at the bottom of that descent that something had gone wrong like that, it would have been a much different story. So catastrophic failure at the right point that a catastrophic failure
for sure
was easy to recover from. So lots of pluses to look at. We did miss Glizzy's, and that kind of a bummer. So Casey and Bill rescue mission, and then we went to, what was it, Bukova? How do you pronounce that? Did I get that right?
Bukova, yeah. So there's a town called Bukova and there's a brewery called Bukova, although Bukova Brewery's in Hot Springs, but that's Bath County, Virginia. Bacova. Just a favorite little local spot. Good food, good people in there. The owners do bikes. She saw us walk in our kits and told me that they're trying to put a gravel group or a gravel ride together. So that's cool to hear. But yeah.
They got the turf. Good beer, good food, nachos. I had a Reuben. Yeah, good bar food. Good bar food. Cool brewery, nice little vibe. Cool little like Main Street area, whatever that was. Was that officially Hot Springs or
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So that's the town of Hot Springs, and we were just below the resort there.
Yeah. So then we wrapped that up, and then it became nap time, which is very exciting for us to talk about. But I don't think any of us had it planned. We all went back and took nice hot showers, and I think I fell asleep in my tent for probably an hour and a half. I don't know what that was all about. I know, Casey, you took a nap. I think Bill was still sleeping by the time we got up.
Yep.
I think we all had like a little weird kind of like whatever you had in your vehicle food wise, you just threw it all together. Now, Casey, you do some really good eating for van cooking. I know we ate, you made us dinner the first night, that shepherd's pie. Very good.
Yep.
And then you did like something we did stop by the grocery store. That's right. We did stop by the grocery store because you got the potatoes.
Well, my flat top got stolen early in the week, unfortunately. So yeah, I had to change up what I was planning, but yeah, there's always, you can make a lot of stuff with instant mashed potatoes.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. You can just make them in your mouth if you needed to. You just, So, great campfires, good wood. We had a lot of great conversation, a lot of just a great hang. I think that was what it was. And there's stories to tell. And then it's not over yet, folks. Sunday morning, bright and early, Casey had made us reservations at the Gentleman's Bathhouse, Warm Springs. Explain to folks what exactly that is, Casey.
Yeah, so there's these, when you're in this area, there's hot springs and there's warm springs. They're towns about 5 miles apart. Hot Springs is where the Omni Resort is, and there are real hot springs you can get in there, but it's kind of part of the resort and part of the spa, a little pricier. 5 miles up the road is Warm Springs, and there are what was once called the Jefferson Baths, because Thomas Jefferson used to go bathe in these hot springs. If you ever read the actual history of that, he had a miserable time and had all kinds of sores. And but they called them the Jefferson Baths. And yeah, I've probably been there a dozen times now. It's people, the claims about the minerals in the water and what it does. I don't know if any of that stuff is true, but I do know every time I go, it's just a really relaxing thing to go be quiet for an hour and sit in this giant old historic pool. And then also the waterfall that you sit on.
The water has calcium, sulfur, magnesium, and lithium. which is the base of lithium. So Elon's going to show up soon.
Charge it up.
Like, I have to wait here and take the water. I don't know how he talks. But it was really neat. I mean, it's an old building from, I don't think the building itself, but I know that the springs as a structure dated all the way back to the 70s.
Yeah, I think the Gentleman's Bathhouse is the oldest resort
really?
structure in America. Yeah.
Wow.
And if you go, so the way they do it, there's the Gentleman's Bathhouse and the Women's Bathhouse. The Women's Bathhouse is newer by a little bit. But it's only, I think there's 1 hour in the evening where they actually separate it that way, and it's clothing optional. The rest of the time, it's family friendly, and that's, I've never done that evening thing. But usually they'll put the kids, if you've got kids with you, they'll put them in the ladies' bathhouse. It's a little bigger, and and anybody that doesn't in the gentleman's, if you ever go, you want the gentleman's, because that has this overflow thing where you can go sit under this waterfall that's like a massage. The ladies' bathhouse doesn't have that. So if you have the choice and you can finagle your way into that gentleman's group, go there, because that's a pretty cool part of the experience.
Now, have you been in the other one as well, Casey? I'm not.
I actually haven't. I just know that it doesn't have that. I'm told it's bigger, and that the feature in there is that the ceiling, which is open in both buildings, is wide open. Like there's no framing structure in the ladies' bathhouse, so it's just a wide open kind of oculus in the ceiling.
I think, and I know Bill said he felt the effects of the minerals in the water. I still haven't bathed, Joey. So I'm still basking in the minerals but my hair felt really soft. Like after I got out of it, I was like, oh, this is lovely. I was like, because of my hair, my hair felt so good. But I just loved the old vibe to it. Was just, I mean, it feels like you're in like history. You're not viewing history, you're participating in history.
You
doing
are the
that.
history.
Yeah, you are the history. And the rocky bottom and the stone walls and the stone steps and all of it it had like this really cool, what a perfect way to end the weekend doing that. I mean,
For sure.
it was wonderful. Although then I had to drive like 5 hours, and that was a very relaxing experience. So I'm like slamming all kinds of caffeine, trying to stay awake. And I think as soon as I rolled home, I think my wife was out doing something else, and I walked in the house. I didn't unpack the truck. I didn't do anything. I just literally took my shoes off and laid down in the bed and slept for like almost an hour and a half or 2 hours. And she's like, "You gonna get up for dinner? You just go to sleep right through it."
Yeah.
It was very relaxing. Joey, I think this is something that we need to make an annual kind of a thing. And I know, Casey, we were talking about that because I for one have very unfinished business with Warm Springs and that route.
Yeah.
So,
you have to be careful though, Brian, because the story behind the white whale, the name of this meetup, one is just because my neighbor Rod, who's also a GTD listener, when I lived in a normal house, I bought the van and he would see this van peeking over my fence and he said it looked like a beluga whale and it kind of looked like a white whale and I called it that. But then in building the van, it took on the Moby Dick meaning of like this thing that you're pursuing and will never achieve and will lead to your ultimate demise. And so now we're calling the Meetups. And, Moby Dick took Captain Ahab's leg. And the Homestead Skyline Drive took your derailleur. So we just got to make sure the metaphor ends there if you come back.
Yeah. So maybe that's why the unfinished business is required.
Yeah.
To break the cycle, I will break the curse.
Yeah.
So one more time, Casey, fantastic weekend. Thank you for putting that together. Thank you for organizing it. And I can guarantee you that the next time we do that one, we're going to have more people just because what a fantastic weekend. But you've also got some plans. You're going to be our meetup organizer because it sounds like what you're trying to do with Discord is schedule more of these meetups. Tell us what you're doing with that because it's so cool.
Yeah, that may be. I feel like that's a higher job title than I signed up for. No, I just want to invite friends to ride together. And like I said, you guys cover the Mid-Atlantic and I travel all over the Mid-Atlantic. So I thought, I'm just going to put these things up there. It's going to be kind of Easter egg style because I don't always know from week to week where I'm going to be. But it seems to me, like I said, most of my time is in the Mid-Atlantic, and there's a good chance that there's some listeners nearby. There's like a 99% chance that if you listen to this show that we're going to get along. So why not extend the invite through Discord? So yeah, there will be, I guess I would say keep an eye out. There is one up right now. I won't get too far into the details because you should get in the Discord. It's like, to me, the cheapest thing you will do related to biking this year and possibly the most meaningful. I mean, Brian has 10 years of Discord membership tied up in his derailleur, right? So get in there, see the details. It's going to be in Rothrock. We're going to explore kind of a southern section that doesn't get as much traffic in the big Rothrock events. But then we'll go touch on some of the classic, iconic roads and vistas in the northern part of the forest. That's going to be June 12th to 14th. So like I said, get into Discord to check that out. And from there, we're going to see where my summer and my fall take me. I'm going to definitely put more up. Sometimes it may be an area I've never been. So my girlfriend's working down in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina for a few months this summer. And I know Brian told me that maybe I should look into this South Central Virginia area where I've never been. So I may put something up down there. And that's going to be a little different than these where I don't know what I'm doing or where I'm going. And I'm just inviting folks to come explore with me. But yeah, that's the thought about going forward with it.
So cool. So cool. And I think that's the same weekend, I believe, as Loudon. But we're never going to find dates. You'll never find your schedule coordinating with events. So we just roll with it.
Yeah, and these aren't, it's not intended to be an event. It's, I think sometimes it's just going to be me. And that's totally fine because I'm going to be there riding anyway. I'm just throwing it out there to folks that want to join. If we get 3 people or 5 people or whatever it is, it's going to be fun. That's the idea. So yeah, if you're thinking of doing Loudon, do Loudon, because I have done that and it's a great event. But if you find yourself in Pennsylvania and want to come hang out with us, we'll be there.
Wow, super cool, Casey. Can't thank you enough again for organizing that last weekend, for being there with the white whale and all of the things associated with it, and continuing with another one, and we'll see how far it goes. But thank you for longtime listener, everybody. Casey's a great guy, just salt of the earth, and we're happy to call you friend and to be in the Discord with you. And like you said, if you join the Discord, these are all people you're probably going to get along with. Not going to be a whole lot of drama. Yep. You guys want to do some this or that's real quick?
Yep.
Casey, I will throw one over to you first. Then Joey, would you want to go second and let me go last? Or
I'll go last.
You'll go last.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one, out of the chute, climbing style, slow and steady rhythm, or out of the saddle power?
Slow and steady all the way.
Slow.
I like to get up here and there but just to stretch.
Yeah. I don't even seem to do that. It seems like it always throws my cadence off when I do that. It kind of takes me a minute to get that rhythm back, but I'm slow and steady all day long. Joey?
Yeah. I feel like we've done this one like 5 times. It's always slow and steady.
Probably. But it's in tune with this long climb that begins that. So
should be ripping a derailleur off or strider in.
Yeah, I wish that it was. I wish I could claim power ripped my derailleur off, but that is not at all.
You were standing out of the saddle too strong.
Campground vibes: pristine and quiet, or social and lively, i.e., loud.
Pristine, quiet.
Yeah, 100%. Although sometimes it is kind of nice. I don't mind a campground that has a component of social and lively that you can then get away from and go back to pristine and quiet. So maybe that's both, but I would 100% if I had to pick one or the other, pristine and quiet.
Yeah, probably the same. Yeah. There is times like you get Saturday night at Croatan, although we had a quiet Saturday night this year, which is great.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, pristine and quiet. That's how it was a few weeks ago at Rocky Gap.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, third one. Do we need to now practice the skill of stridering a bike, or just walk it in shame? Just walk it, baby.
I mean, yeah, I got to do strider. I'm inspired, Brian.
Yeah.
So you're an inspiring rider.
You know what was interesting is when I was, and this is actually leaning more towards the walk it in shame, when I was walking along that ridge, I saw things that I did not see. And it's funny just going back and forth, almost within like 45 minutes. I saw things when I was walking and stridering that bike that I didn't see when I was riding it. So there's always the opportunity. And that's a big part of when I tell people to slow down, to go slow. I think that's a part of it. So I'm going to go with just walk it in shame. Joey?
I'm going to go strider.
Strider,
and I'm going to drop my seat all the way down.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
If I don't have a dropper post.
Yeah, I didn't even think about doing that.
That'd be
but
easy.
It probably would have
make
been
it more
beneficial.
enjoyable to strider.
Yeah.
If there's a big descent, I'm going to strider it.
Yeah. And I was glad to get the support that Strava should continue. I really do appreciate all of the love for that, because it gave me some of those extra miles.
I never looked at your route.
It just goes up and down. We literally had done like over half of the climbing for the day, I believe.
Well over half, yeah. It's easy going from there.
It's crazy. Last one. A sunrise recovery spin or a soak in the hot springs?
Hot springs, 100%.
Hot springs all day long. Magic. Just pure magic.
Never hot springed it, but I would do that.
I would highly recommend it. And we're gonna get a chance to do it again. Anything that I've missed, Casey, in this recap that you want to chime in for before we shut this down?
No, I mean, just thanks again for having me on, and looking forward to keeping the conversation and Discord going with you and with everyone else over there. So.
Our pleasure. And I think I've already chimed in for your next one. I've checked the schedule, checked the calendar. So
awesome. Nice.
I will see you in Rothrock, and let me know.
I think we'll see each other first down in Marlinton.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Bike packing.
That's coming up. The bike packing summit that Bike Packing Roots does. Yeah. So that is not Memorial Day weekend, because Memorial Day is a weekend early this year. We get an extra week of summer this year. So that is going to be, I think it's like the 30th or 29th through the 1st. So it's that second weekend. So it's kind of weird weird time.
Who is the what official body in the world dictates holidays like that?
I don't know.
Like who's like, let's plan the calendar for the next 100 years?
Probably the government. The government does it.
Ever think about that though?
Not really, but now I do.
Like, I guess there's certain
now I'm not
things
going to
that's
stop
like,
people to think about it.
I'm not religious. Easter, I don't, like Easter's always different.
Well, Easter's the timing of the moon cycles.
But then, like, you get some that float like that, and then you get like, what weekend's Labor Day going to be? Or maybe I'm just
who decided
there is something else. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, there's hard holidays, and there's other ones that
that float. They float. And I know that like Veterans Day is always the 11th day of the 11th month, no matter what day of the week it falls on.
But like, who dictates Labor Day, Memorial Day?
I don't know.
I think it's
Labor
like
Day,
I think it's like a third Monday of the month kind of thing. And
I know who
depending
does
on how the calendar hits. Yeah.
I know who does it. Hallmark.
Yes.
Hallmark.
That's actually the right answer.
All right, folks, we're going to shut this thing down. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt. Joey, how can folks get in touch with us?
On the Discord channel After Hours. You can find it through our website at graveltraveldirt.com, and the Instagram is at Mid-Atlantic GTD.
Casey, if folks wanted to get in touch with you?
Discord. That's really the only place I'm active, so I'll see you in there.
Find the white whale.
It is the new social hot button for
It's so much better than social. It's like 2000s internet
True.
vibes. Like just
And what's old is new again.
Should have called it MySpace.
Oh yeah.
Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt is recorded this week from right here in Blake's Kitchen, all the way up to somewhere around State College, Bald Eagle State Forest. Thanks for riding along. Until next time, do good, be nice, go slow, respect others.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.